On this episode of Business is Personal, I'm sitting down with Carl Walmsley. Now, I can't tell you exactly his title or where he works because, well, it's a secret. But he's in the construction industry, and so we're going to talk about women in construction, we'll talk about augmented reality in construction, and we're going to talk about how the next generation of constructors are being mentored. And Carl's going to tell you all about that. But before the episode begins, make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn, Dr. Corey Block. Do you feel disconnected at work? Are you feeling exhausted? Almost like you hate your job and secretly, maybe your boss too? This is Business is Personal, a blueprint to discovering and creating meaning at work in collaboration with Smashy TV, a live streaming service in the Middle East for the driven, the dreamers, and the doers. So I'm so excited to have Carl Walmsley with me today. He's been a good friend for a number of months. We've been getting closer, and I just had to bring him on because he's got such a great heart. And he's a pillar of the construction community in Dubai and globally, actually. So I'm going to let him introduce himself to you and all of the different projects he's been involved in so that you can hear a little bit about who he is and what he does.
Thank you, Dr. Corey, and thank you very much for inviting me on your show. So good afternoon, everybody. My name's Carl Walmsley, and I've been working in the construction industry for 25 years, starting in the mid-90s. I've worked in 7 countries globally across 4 continents. And I've led construction teams and construction projects for many years in the UAE, and particularly for the last 16 years.
That's amazing. So look, I really want to tell you about the construction project he's involved in right now, because every one of you is going to know it, but I'm bound by secrecy and an NDA. I'm not allowed to share that with you yet. Maybe by the time this airs, we can put it in the text below. So
coming soon.
Coming soon. Changing a vista and a view near you is Carl Walmsley's amazing efforts. Now, I think probably you're the most emotionally intelligent construction guy I have ever met in my life.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much.
I really enjoy hanging out with you. I enjoy spending time with you, and I think it's important for our friends out here to see that. I want them to see you. So tell us first about, I'm interested in the trends that are happening in the construction industry. What are you excited about? What should we be excited about?
I think first of all, digitization. So, the whole world in the last, let's say, 10 years has been going through this.
Carl Walmsley here
tech
from
boom.
Construction Mentor.
And
over the past 25 years, I've received thousands of CVs from people all over the world for different positions.
We've got our mobile phones, we've got our laptops, we've got
times
our
have
computers
changed,
at home,
and
we've got the whole world in the
acceptable
palm
on a
of our hand.
CV 5 years
So
ago,
from a
10
construction
years ago,
industry,
20 years
it's
ago,
actually one of
is
the
very
most
different
manually
to
driven
what
industries
you want to have
out of
from
all
your
industries in
CV
the
today
world.
when you're
Is it still
looking for
paper
a
and
new
pencils
role.
then?
Did you know that? It has changed a lot. It has changed a lot, but interestingly,
a manager or somebody in a company,
when I started out in
they will
construction
only
in the
look at your
90s,
CV
it
for
was
anywhere
very much
between
that.
5 seconds to 1 minute.
The architects would come
So
to the
the
site with
content,
the drawings
the layout
under
of your
their
CV
arm.
Yes, sure.
is so
And
important
they'd,
today as well if you want to
they'd
get
be in their
noticed.
drawing office
In
the
some
night
of the
before,
CVs
they'd
that
have
I
their
receive,
pencil
that
and
I
their
go
drawing
through,
board,
I'm
and then
surprised
they'd
on
come to
some
site
of
the next day.
the
That was in the
missing
90s.
information,
Then in the
or the layout of
2000s,
the
we had the
CV, which is not
2D,
aligned
the
with
CAD
today's practice. So I wanted to share
introduction
with you
to our
some
industry.
tips based on
And
my
for
own
about 10
experience that I
years,
feel may
we
help
was then,
if you feel like
Microsoft came in, we had AutoCAD,
you're not getting
all projects were then being designed on a computer in a 2D
have a look
world.
at some of these tips and have a look at your
Now we
CV
have 3D.
as it is at
So
the
for the
moment,
last,
it might be
I'd
able to
say,
help you.
4 or
So
5
to start with
years, the
point
software's
number
been
one
available probably
is
a
add a
little bit
photo.
longer, but there's
You'll be surprised how many
software
CVs
or
are still available today without a photo.
an industry
Companies
now
and people,
that is
they
called
want
BIM,
to
Building
want to see
Information
the person
Modeling.
behind the CV.
And
so the first point is
3 or 4 years
include
ago,
photo.
you'd probably have
The second
2
point
in
is
8 projects,
quality
which
over
was
quantity.
with BIM, and then
I receive a lot of
the 8
CVs
projects
where
was, let's say, in
6
the
or 7
2D world.
pages of
Now
information.
it's
And if
reversed.
you've got a very short
So
video of 5
the
seconds to 1
transformation,
minute,
let's say the digital
you
transformation,
want the
which we're
best
hearing about in all industries, in the
interpretation
construction
of you
industry,
and your
has
experience,
changed
and
a
you're
lot
not
in
going
the
to
last
achieve
3 or
that
4
over 6 or
years.
7
However,
pages.
there's still a lot
have a look
to
at
be
your
done.
CV and really
What-
focus. Are
I'm
you
curious
getting
about
the
BIM.
message?
Okay, what level of
across to the
accuracy
people
do you
that's reading
get
your CV?
as a
2 to 3
project
pages,
director?
absolute maximum.
I
Any
would
more
say,
than that,
in my
it's too much
experience,
information.
round about 90%.
Point number 3,
on the
avoid
3D.
That's pretty good.
repeat
On the
information.
3D.
If you've had
There's
the
still a
same
lot of
position for
manual
many years in
work that has to be
different
done. So,
companies,
for example, on the clash
I would
detection,
advise
so when you
against using
overlay
the same
the
information
original
over and
model
over again in
with
terms of your
the
job
call it the built
description,
model
add
from your
something different in there
subcontractors,
that will
and you do the
help,
overlay, whenever
recruiters
there's
or
any
people looking
clashes,
to hire
all
you.
of those clashes has to be dealt with manually. So you still
right,
need people
right.
to do that. But it's come a long way from where it was 25 years ago.
Sure.
You know, there was pretty much very little coordination done back then. So BIM has really transformed our industry.
Yeah, sure.
What I would say though, you know, the software is fantastic. The BIM people, you know, it's almost like a new industry that's being created within our industry.
Right.
So I work with a lot of BIM managers, you know, BIM directors, etc., who have been studying BIM at university. They understand the software and they can use it, but the rest of the industry, including myself, we're still upskilling ourselves.
Right, sure.
So when I don't feel in 2022 that our industry is using the BIM software to its full capability.
Sure.
And I think whilst it's exciting that we are digitizing, I think everybody in the industry needs to have a conscious effort to upskill themselves. And when I say everybody, I'm not just talking about designers or managers or the engineers and the construction managers building the projects. I'm talking about the quantity surveyors, I'm talking about the commercial managers, I'm talking about the planners. Because you have different elements of the BIM. So you have the 3D, which is, let's say, the design and the model. You have the 4D, which is the planning. You have the 5D, which is the commercial element.
Right.
And we're not using all of those elements correctly on the projects at the moment.
Well, there's still room to grow then, right?
There's still room to grow. There's still room to improve.
Sure.
So, but it's the digitization in the industry is very, very exciting. And, I mean, to give you a couple of small examples, I can go onto a construction site now with my mobile phone, and I can pull up drawings, or I can even pull up sections of the BIM model, and look at it and discuss it with the team on a site.
Well, it would be nice when we get to the place, I think probably 5-8 years from now, when you can pull up your mobile phone and you have an AR view of what you're looking at as it's shown on the BIM, overlaid onto that, right?
Correct. I think it will
Are
be
you there?
sooner than, we're not there yet. I think it will be sooner than 5 to 8 years. And I'll give you one small example where the industry has come to with the use of
Good morning.
VR.
Cal Wamsley here
reality.
from Construction
You
Mentor.
can get
Over the past 25 years, I've
or a
received
headset,
thousands of CVs from
which
people
is
all over the
linked
world
to the
for
BIM
different
model. So
positions
you
in
can
the
be in a room
construction
like
industry.
this.
And you can walk through it.
Times have
walk through
changed,
the project
and what
before
may
it's even
have
been
been
built.
acceptable
Or
on CV
even
5
during
years ago, 10
construction,
years
you
ago,
could take
20 years ago,
a computer
is very
or a
different
device
to
with you
what
onto the
you
site
want to have
with the
on your
VR
CV
in the
today when you're
space,
looking for a
and
new
you can
role.
look at the space.
Did you know that
under construction, live
recruiter
construction
or
site, you
a
put on the
manager or somebody in a
VR
company,
goggles,
they will
and
only
you can
look
actually
at your
imagine
CV
the
for anywhere
different elements of
between 5 seconds
MEP
to
or the
1 minute.
finishes,
That's really cool.
the doors
So
here,
the content
and obviously from
and
a
the
safety
layout of your
perspective,
CV
Yeah,
is so important in today's world if you
safe
want
to
to
walk
get
around.
noticed.
Amazing.
But
In some of the
that
CVs that I
exists,
receive,
at
that
the
I go
moment.
through,
I think in the
I'm
future we're
surprised
going to be
on
looking
some
at
of
more of a
let's say the missing
sort of a
information,
holograph
or the
kind
layout of the CV, which is
scenario.
not
Well, I imagine
aligned
it's just a
with
piece of
today's
like
practice.
Google
I wanted
Glass,
to
right?
share
You have
with
glasses
Exactly.
on, and then with
based
your
on my own
glasses, you can see
experience
the
that
BIM
I feel may
overlay
help you
on whatever.
if you
you're
feel like
looking
you're
at.
not getting
Absolutely.
to
You
the
can
top
see all
of
the
the pie,
MEP
you're
in the
not getting
walls.
a
You can
callback,
see
you're
all
not getting an interview.
the details in the way, and you can
if
add
you
layers
have
and
a look at
subtract
some of
layers.
these
I
tips
imagine
and have a
that's
look at
probably
your
not
CV
that far
as
away
it is at
from
the
it.
moment. you might be able to
And it would improve. It would improve.
So
I
we
think
start
the
with point
accuracy
number one.
of construction
Add a
and
photo.
the speed and efficiency of it too. Because
You'll be
you have
surprised
much
how
more
many
information
CVs are still
in a
available
much shorter
today
period of time.
without a photo.
Correct. And what it
Companies
will
and
also
people, they
do
want to-
on top of that
they
is
want to see the
reduce
person
the
behind
changes
the
that
CV.
happens from
So
our
the
clients.
first point
Because
is
I would say,
include
a
a
lot
photo.
of the changes, I don't know
second
what the
point is
percentage is, but a lot of
quality
the
over
changes that
quantity.
happens during
I
a
receive a lot
construction
of
project,
CVs
which
where
has an impact on
6
your
or 7
program,
pages of
has an impact on your
information. And if
budget.
you've got a very
is
short window
because of
5 seconds
clients
to 1
changing
minute,
because they walk
you-
onto a
you
site
want
or they
the
go and look at
best-
something and then they don't like what they see, or they want to make some change. Maybe it doesn't work for them. But if we have this kind of technology available before we've even built it, it will help clients to see what they're buying before they press the button to say, "Go and build this for me, please."
Brilliant.
So I'm very excited. I think technology has improved our industry over the years, and it was a much needed improvement. We've still got a long way to go, but the future is.
That's amazing.
The future's exciting.
And what about on the people and management and culture side in construction? Because you have a lot of staff, obviously, on your projects. What are you looking at in terms of organizational culture? Because I think typically from the outside of the construction industry, we don't think much about organizational culture in a construction project. We think laborers, managers, and that's it. There's this dichotomy, and that's all there is. But I'd love for you to speak to the organizational culture side of working in a labor-heavy job.
Okay. I think the first comment I want to make on that in terms of construction industry culture is women in construction. Okay. In March every year you have the International Women's Day, and there's usually a big drive throughout the construction industry around the world where they promote women in construction.
Right.
And people are very happy that there's a lot more women in construction. For me, our industry needs to change where it needs to be a lot more attractive for women to want to come into the construction industry.
Sure.
When I first started in construction in the 90s, when I went to a construction site, there was no women.
Right.
Zero. And this was in the UK. I don't know what it was like in other countries, but in the UK, there was no women on the construction site.
Yeah, it would have been the same in Canada.
Okay, right. And then when I went to America, I managed a college project in Boston. I met two ladies on the construction site. One was an architect, and one was the secretary for the construction team. Then when I moved to New Zealand, as time went on, there was more women, but still few and far between. Now, I've worked, some of the best engineers and some of the best managers and even CEO have been women that I've worked with.
Right.
But our industry, from my memory of starting the construction industry, did have a gender bias. Male construction industry, female different industries. Yeah, that for me is wrong. When I look at where we are in the world today in 2022, it should be people in construction, not women in construction. And
good morning.
I think
Cal
our industry has a lot to do to
over the past 25 years
and to improve
thousands of CVs from people all
and
over
it goes
the world
right through the industry, from your top leaders of all your professional
times have
bodies
changed,
to the CEOs of companies, to
acceptable on a CV
going to your school.
5 years ago, 10 years
you
ago,
go to your careers advisor in the
is
school,
very different to what
and
you
you're
want
14,
to have
15,
on your
16
CV today when you're looking for a
male
new
or
role.
boy or girl, man or woman.
Did you know that
what industry do you want to go into?
a recruiter
or
a manager or somebody in a company, they will construction industry is for everybody. For anywhere between 5 seconds to 1 minute.
No, it's
so
brilliant.
I love that
you said
and
that.
The
I didn't
layout of your
expect
CV
that,
is so important.
We need more women in construction. You know what? It makes
in
it
some of the
perfect
CVs
sense,
that I
it's one of those
receive, that I go
male-dominated
through, I'm
traditional
surprised on some
industries
of the
I think
missing information.
I don't want to make the judgment that
CV, which
most
is
women
not
would not
with
like to be in the
practice. So I wanted to
construction
share with
industry.
you
I would not like
based
to
on
make
my
the
own
judgment
experience that I
most
feel
women would
may
not
help
like to be in
you
the fashion industry.
if you feel like
Right?
you're not getting to the top
Clearly
of the
not
pile,
true.
you're not getting
We found out in the
called back,
fashion
you're not
industry
getting
over the
an
last
interview.
maybe 30 years that that's
if
not
you
true.
have a look at some of
And
these
so the
tips
construction
and have a
industry
look
over
at
the next 30
your
years, we
CV
may find out that that's not true as well. We may end up with better construction, better quality buildings. And like you were telling me before, is like it's the same in relationship as it is in business. If you have the foundation strong, you can build the tallest structure.
Correct.
Right? If the foundation goes deep enough, then anything else can be built on it in relationships, in businesses. And I think having the right materials and gender balance in leadership as a part of those materials, I think that allows us to build bigger buildings.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think our industry will be a lot better if we have more women participating in being part of the industry.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So I think from a culture perspective, that's the first, let's say, major topic that I wanted to discuss. The second topic I'd like to discuss is the different cultures and different nationalities that we have. Unfortunately, in the world, we have you've got different nationalities, you've got different religions, you've got different passports. In the construction industry, I've worked with all nationalities from all over the world. I've covered 7 countries across 4 continents. So I've pretty much covered every nationality that there is on this earth.
How was that for you? How was your experience?
It's really changed my life.
Sure.
My wife is from China. My boys are both British, Chinese, born in the UAE. So I live a very multicultural...
And your son speaks Arabic, by the way.
My son, yes, my older son, he speaks fluent Arabic and Mandarin and English. And that was something that me and Coco, my wife, wanted him to have, being immersed, being born in the UAE and being immersed in this culture. So in the construction industry, because I've lived across all these countries and worked with all these different nationalities, I don't look at the colour of a person or the nationality of a person or the religion of a person or what passport they have. I look at their capabilities as a professional, as a construction professional. Unfortunately, some of the people I've worked with and some of the projects I've worked on, it's not always like that. Yeah. But certainly, if anybody that's working with me and working in my teams on my projects, you know, I look at the person, the individual, the professional. I don't look at where they were born, you know, where they grew up, what nationality they have, or what religion do they have. As I say, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that in all countries that I've worked in. But certainly in my life, you know, that's how I like to.
Good morning.
I think of
Carl
racism as an
from
outdated best practice.
Over the past 25 years, I've received thousands
because
of CVs
look, 1,000 years ago, if you, as an apex male predator on the planet, was walking down the street and you saw somebody, another apex male predator walking towards you, you would have to make a decision very quickly about whether or not it was possible to trust that other potential threat. And if they looked like you, talked like you, walked like you, chances were, if you didn't recognize them, they were still from your tribe.
Somebody in a company,
right? And you could probably do business with them, probably trust them. But if they didn't look like you, didn't talk like you, didn't walk like you, chances are pretty good they're from a different tribe and maybe competing with you and maybe a threat to you. So that's where racism comes from. It's an outdated best practice. We don't need it anymore, obviously. It's not useful, but that's where it comes from. And so those of us who've been able to mature beyond that, recognize it, and evolve through it, I think we just make the world a little more inviting, a little more welcoming.
Help you,
absolutely.
If you feel like you're not getting to the top of the
understanding,
pile, I think an interview.
As a manager or a leader, if you are leading people, if you have a title, engineer, manager, supervisor, director,
add a photo.
You are leading people.
Yes.
Okay.
You'll be surprised how many
to understand the
are
people.
still available
you need to
without a photo.
Know about the people, not just about the work that they're doing. You know, as your book says, business is personal. It is very personal. That's so you need to know a little bit about everybody, and you've got to make an effort, and you've got to want to know them. And I believe, and this is something that I actually teach my son, as well as people that I work with in my teams, you can find common ground with anybody.
That's right.
It doesn't matter where they're from in the world.
That's right.
It doesn't matter their education level. You know, obviously communication is important. You need to be able to speak the same language.
That's right.
But other than that, you have the ability to strike up a conversation with anybody from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and look, on that nexus of common ground, leadership, and construction, you've actually put your money, your time, and your efforts where your mouth is. You're starting something called Construction Mentor.
Yes.
And I'd love for you just to introduce the concept, because those in the construction industry really need to know what you're doing and why.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So
that wasn't scripted, by the way. No. Like, this is not a paid advertisement. I'm just really proud of this guy and what he's doing. Okay, go on.
Thank you. So I've always been interested in building since I was a kid.
Good morning.
Lego in my house. I'm from the north of England. So
over the past
very cold, very wet,
I've
and I spent a lot of time building Lego as a child. And all I ever wanted to do was build. So
times have changed.
Even though my first construction site I started when I was 16, which was 25 years ago, but I was building even before then. And I would build things in my parents' living room just out of Lego bricks. And that's all.
Did you know
that's all I've ever wanted to do. Over the last 25 years that I've been working on sites, I've seen a lot. I've
between 5 seconds.
I've made mistakes. I've managed lots of people. I've interviewed. I've recruited. I've retrenched. Sadly, that's one of the hardest parts of the job that I do.
In some of the CVs that
I've been involved in managing and leading teams and building projects all over the world. And it's provided me and my family with a fantastic life, a fantastic lifestyle. It allows us to bring up our children in a nice place. It allows us to look after our parents in their retirement. And over the last couple of years, I've wanted to use my experience and help people.
As it is at the moment, it might be.
I feel now is the right time
point number one
to
add a photo.
Give back to the industry through the construction.
You'll be surprised how many CVs.
So I set this platform up at the beginning of 2022, but I've been thinking about it for well over a year now. But I was just waiting for the right time in my life to be able to dedicate the time.
The second point is
something like
quality of quantity.
And it's to help people grow through the construction industry, right?
Absolutely. So I get contacted every day by a lot of people from around the world, all with different requests, challenges, requesting information, job, wanting advice on jobs, interviews, CVs, wanting to know what it's like working in the Middle East.
Yeah, sure.
Last week I had a graduate architect from Turkey, a lady who wanted to know what it was like working in the Middle East because she was considering either Saudi Arabia or the UAE. So I get all different kinds of contacts from various people. And the Construction Mentor is a platform that I've set up to try and help people, but help more people through the platform, because I cannot get to every person. I do my best to get to every person, but I cannot always get to them just with everything else that's going on in my life. But through the Construction Mentor platform, what I've started doing now is writing articles, preparing videos, so that I'll be able to share the videos on the platform. And rather than doing the same topic with, say, 10 or 15 people at different times, this video will cover what they're asking for.
Yeah, and then you can search, and it's like an FAQ for the construction industry.
Absolutely.
And then they get to spend time with you without it taking so much of your time because you're doing it with everybody.
Exactly. Correct. So I want to cascade my efforts, and rather than doing one subject each day with one person, I can cascade it across lots of people.
That's amazing.
And then if somebody contacts me about the same topic, I can refer them to the video that I've done, which hopefully will answer all of their questions and help them with what they're doing.
That's brilliant.
So my vision for 2022 is to help one person a day, which by the end of the year, that will be 365 people. My vision for 2023 is to cascade that and 10x that by these video platforms. We're building a website at the moment, so a lot of the information will go into a library on the website so that I can refer people to the website as well, so there will be a library of information. So I'm hoping to cascade the sharing of the knowledge and the mentoring through these platforms, through the Construction Mentor platform on LinkedIn, and also through our website, which is under construction at the moment. It's on program for the launch of the website will be August 2022.
That's amazing.
The next part of the vision for 2023 is I want to reach out to colleges and universities, and I'm working on a blueprint of a presentation at the moment to target the new people into the industry. Looking at the good points of the industry, maybe potential pitfalls, just to try and help people that are new and navigating their way through. So I'm looking at that at the moment, and I want to approach the universities and the colleges for 2023.
That's really amazing. Let me ask you, last question. What gives your life the most amount of meaning when it comes to your work? What is most meaningful? What is the most meaningful part of your work for you?
I can't answer that in one point. There's a couple of points there. For me, it's about helping people to grow in their careers and building buildings that society requires.
Amazing. Really love that. Thank you so much for being with me. This has been a really good conversation, and I hope this has added value to your life as much as it's added value to mine. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Corey.
Do you feel disconnected at work? Are you feeling exhausted? Almost like you hate your job and secretly maybe your boss too? This is Business is Personal, a blueprint to discovering and creating meaning at work in collaboration with Smashy TV, a live streaming service in the Middle East for the driven, the dreamers, and the doers.